right, everybody, we're back. Indiebnb. Today we are joined by Gabby Schultz, better known with her stage name of Gabrielle Grace. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
We are doing good. Glad to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
She is a friend of the podcast by way of Mr. Timothy Edward Carpenter, who we had on a few weeks ago. So we're glad to always, keeping the connections going and building the chain, keep it rolling. So, how did y'all come, to connect?
Oh man. We laugh about it because I don't think he remembered as much as I did. So he was in a band called Edward and Jane, and I opened up a show in Chattanooga, more like Cleveland, Tennessee, I think. And he was there, and my friend was like, "I'm gonna intro you to Tim," and I was like, "Cool." I didn't really know them that well, and then we planned a uh, tour together, 2020 March, and then we did not get to tour together because it was the exact week that COVID started hitting. And so then they were still in Chattanooga, I believe, and then when they moved, we like connected, and then now they're like best friends. So it's really cool how we briefly knew each other. We were gonna go on tour, and now like he's one of my close friends, and it's just a really cool thing how that happened. Like it's kind of wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're in Nashville, correct?
Yes.
And just doing simple research on you. That's by way of southeastern Texas.
Yes.
What's
Yep.
what got
There,
you?
nothing.
Yeah, well, I was gonna assume that, but
Yeah.
what got you from point A to point B, other than Nashville just being what it is for music?
Yeah. Well, I actually didn't move here for music. I grew up playing music, and I've always loved it, but ideally it was not gonna the way I grew up was very small town, make money, and that's how you make a living. And so um, I moved here in 2015. I studied religion, um, and then I kind of just I went to a house show, and I got super inspired there in 2015. I was like, "What is a house show?" and and I mean, I didn't grow up like with music around me. I was the only oddball in my super small town called Bridge City, Texas, and I was like I didn't really like grow up with live shows, and I was just like anything that I could just get my hands on with CDs or whatever, I would just download music illegally and everything. And so when I got here, it was just kind of like, oh, like I'm super inspired. I never really considered songwriting until I moved here, and it was just kind of like, oh, a happy accident. Like really got inspired by the people here, and I'm just really thankful to be, where I'm at today. And just, I think I have, like a lot of people have a gratitude perspective, but I really feel like I have one because I just like accidentally made my way here, and the artist thing scared the mess out of me and still does. But it has become more comfortable over the years for sure. But
Yeah,
yeah.
so with with you not being quote unquote a songwriter until about, well, I guess 8 7 8 years ago, you know
Yeah.
did you just kind of dive head first in and just start writing, or did you have some people that you kind of collaborated with that kind of
Yeah.
helped you along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I play guitar. My first instrument were drums, and then my parents got tired of that real quick. And then I picked up guitar, and so I always had like I would cover songs all the time, and I grew up leading worship, and so it was more like I always knew what a structure of a song meant. But I definitely just like would sit alone in my college dorm room and just try to figure out, like I took songwriting classes, and then I just kind of, you know, it made its way into itself, and I think it became just like a natural instinct, honestly. Like, I'm really grateful for that natural instinct that I knew what obviously there were really bad songs at first, like really bad ones, and I still write really bad ones. Um, but you know, I just kept doing it, and the repetition formed itself over time to where it's like, oh, I think now I know how to co-write and like all the other stuff that goes with it, and still learning every day for sure. But I mean, I definitely had mentors. My best friend Corey, who I actually had coffee a day, he was like the guy at super small college in Nashville called Trevecca, and he was like the guy who graduated. I think 3 years or 2 years before me, but he was known as like the child prodigy. And so when I met him, I was like, we should like do some music together. And then now we're still making music together. And he's definitely one of those people who like has seen me grown, and we've both support each other and see each other grow as artists. So it's been really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember ever like, whether it was like a song that you can remember or just like a specific moment where you were like, oh shit, like this is how you do it. Like I figured it out kind of.
Yeah. Um, I did. So bringing back Corey, he produced my first ever album that I took down last year because it's just very young. And uh you know, this album I'm trying to release, I want this to be my debut album. But I there's a song on there I think called Prone to Wonder, and I was actually in Croatia and I wrote it on a train, and I didn't actually have my guitar with me. And I was working with refugees at the time, and I just remember writing it down in my journal and then bring it back when I got home and put music to it. And I was like, oh, this is like my favorite song. And I still grieve that I took that song down, but it just doesn't make sense to where I'm at right now and sonically. But it was one of those songs that it was the first time when I played my first ever show, which was also a house show in 2017, that I played it and saw people connect to it. And I think that's when I figured out, oh, maybe I could do this thing and
Hmm.
maybe it's decent or good,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And that was kind of that moment in the flip, the switch. So yeah.
Well, yeah. And so you brought up, sort of your new music. Let's talk about your latest release of the Two Sides EP.
Yeah.
I guess let's just go through both songs that you've released so far on that, and
Yeah.
what were inspirations? How did it come to be? And let's
Yeah.
start. Let's start with Two Sides.
Yeah. Well, that is the title track of my upcoming album that I'll be releasing June 15th, which I announced. And I'll condense the story. But I released my first ever EP in 2021, and I was kind of just sitting there. I was like, I want to make something else, but I, as a songwriter, storyteller, and I'm all about project minds. And so I was like, what do I want to write about next? And had some life stuff happen. And basically the short version is I found out that my dad, who raised me my whole life, is not my biological dad, and my biological dad passed away in 2013. And like my dad didn't even know until 2017 that wasn't his, and it's a whole mess. But so I was like, well, I think I know what I'm supposed to be writing about, because that's all I can write about, and dealing with grief and every emotion that you could probably name if you find out that kind of news. And so Two Sides, it was pretty fresh after I found out that. And I was doing a lot of collaborating and songwriting and with friends and co-writing. And I was kind of so emotional from everything that was going on that I was like, I don't know if I can write a song that I wanted to, like Two Sides, that would make sense story wise, that would be cohesive, because I have so many emotions. And so I brought in my good friend Alyssa and Jason Wozniak and brought them that chorus melody and of Two Sides. And yeah, and I had some of the words, and we just finished it, and it was like therapy. I mean, I remember just like telling them everything, and because when stuff like that happens, you don't really go sharing that everywhere, obviously. And then when you catch up with friends, they're like, oh, you know, and it's one of those things that definitely is terrifying to release, but it's my story, and I'm really excited about it, and so that's what kind of this album is about.
Okay.
And yeah, that's the short version.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, and then let's talk Draw the Line. What was the
yeah,
inspiration there?
yeah. So I wrote that one. I started it before a show, and my dad texted me just checking in, and then I was having a weird emotional day, and I just started playing on my acoustic. I wrote half the song, went to go play the show, then that got canceled, and then went home and finished the rest at like 2 a.m. So that song happened pretty quickly. I tend to write whenever, as you can tell, I'm an emotional person, but also like I mean, it's a fair response to things. But yeah, and so when I have a guitar part and I have all those emotions, things pretty much flow out of me pretty quickly.
Hmm.
And then sometimes I have to go back and be like, okay, that didn't make any sense. But that song is basically about, sucking up, having hard conversations over a phone call with either your family members or friends or whoever it is. And, for me, sometimes I tend to like not want to talk on the phone because either it's going to be hard or I don't want help. And so that song is all about coming to the conclusion because at the end it says, but I'd rather, I don't remember the line lyrics, but basically it ends with like being too prideful and to pick up the phone. And so, yeah, that one was strange because I started it and then I finished it the same day, but just at 2
Hmm.
a.m. So, yeah,
Um, well, yeah, that is a definitely a big life event that you're willing to share with the listeners, and it
yeah,
takes a lot of bravery from your part, but I think that's where you'll see the best music come out of you is just really showing this raw emotional side. 'Cause that's what people can connect to is
yeah,
the real side of emotions. So
yeah.
um
Thank you.
I always like to ask uh people on our excuse me, I was looking at the word Spotify when I said that, on our podcast about their most streamed song on Spotify. And from my little bit of research, I figured out that it was "We'll Be All Right." What
Yeah.
what is it about that song that you think makes it your most streamed song on Spotify?
I would say probably it's like super catchy. Like honestly, the chorus is "We'll be all right," and it's like "We'll be all right, hi, hi, oh," like over and over again. So it's
Hmm.
like that's a song that I play at shows. Either I end it or start with it because I get people to start singing the chorus with it.
Hmm.
But also like it's this weird like paradox of it's sounds happy, but it's also like really sad lyrics. Like starts off with like, "What if I blew it? A little mistake. Would it be over, or would you still stay?" And it was all about how my husband, or he was my fiance at the time, and I were like literally in the same city, but never seeing each other. Like
Hmm.
we were so busy, and it was right before the world shut down, and I was frustrated, and he was frustrated. It wasn't at each other; it was just like the busyness and time. And I remember getting off FaceTime, and you could just feel it in the air, and I just literally pressed record, and it came out in 5 minutes. It was one of those songs I was like, I don't
Yeah,
know how that just happened. But when I say like emotional, I'm emotional, and my songs come out that way. So I literally pressed record, and I just had it. It was way slower and way sadder, way more sad. And I sent it to my producer, and it was actually not supposed to be on my first EP. And we already picked all the songs. We already started recording. He was like, "Happy wedding gift." And I was like, that was really sweet. And so he, now it's the title track of that EP. So it's funny. I think it kind of summed up everything I wanted to say in that EP. So that's
that's
fun.
awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah.
you mentioned your live excuse me. You mentioned your live set, a few times, and or kind of just talking about how you play this live, and
Yeah.
so as people, I always ask this: as people who have not seen you before, what should somebody expect when they walk into a Gabrielle Grace show?
A lot of dad jokes. No, sometimes.
Okay.
I would say like honesty, like is my main thing. I'm pretty fully myself, which is one thing I say I'm not. Yeah, I'm proud of like I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm still nervous before shows, but I'm like, if anything, people are gonna like that, like I am myself at the end of this show. So I would say
Yeah.
just like silly at points, but also like um just transparent and honest. Like I say something before the song or I let the song speak for itself. But I would say, I mean, I've done a lot of house shows, so an intimate experience, but also like when I'm with a band, it still has that intimate experience at the same time. That's just like it feels like we're one-on-one friends, I would say. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I think I noticed about, Tim, and I don't know if you share this too, but like there is a story, behind each song. And you mentioned, you do have a lot of emotion within your writing. Like, um, when you play it, is there, do you have a different emotion every time you play specific songs, or like, do you feel like
Yeah.
really just, does that all bleed through?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on like the context of where I'm at. Cause like, put me in a bar and a million people are talking, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm probably not gonna say anything because you guys, but I mean, for like house shows, I would say like I spill my guts and then I feel the song a lot more. And then sometimes when I
Mhm.
play with the full band, sometimes it's just like, okay, gotta make sure I'm doing this right. The focus
Yeah.
is in. But most of the time I would say that I'm pretty aware of what I'm singing, and I feel like that portrays a lot. Like I can get pretty emotional when I sing, especially these recent songs. Like I'm even like shaking right now because I get that way because those songs are
Yeah.
so vulnerable and just like I don't have it's all of me, and it's like I
Yeah.
have a song that's called Never Knew You that is will be the last single, and it's like you don't hear anyone talking because it's one of those songs just like about my dad, and it's like there that's all I have to say, and so like
Mhm.
songs like that I have to pick and choose like two sides when I can play those because I'm like, all right, where is my am I gonna cry, which I don't mind crying at all, but it's like you want to do the song justice while also being like not emotionally just like you can't be yourself after a show kind of thing. So yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. Is it, when you build your set list, is that something you take into account? Like, I'm always fascinated by like, what you want journey you want to take people on. So like talking
Yeah.
about how that process is for you.
Oh man, that's like my favorite part, but also like the hardest part for sure because it's like, depending on how long, if you're opening for someone, it's like 20-minute set or 30-minute set, and you're like, okay, give them the best like six songs that you got. And then if you're headlining, then it's like, I always want to bring in like either a start with a high or like a medium, and then, you build it along, and it's almost like I mean, it goes back to storytelling of like the journey that you're trying to say. And then, I always do mid set, like either acoustic or the sad ones. And then I hit them with a good one. So we're not just going to stay there and not everyone's getting boring. And so I
Yeah.
think it's always fun. And even like, honestly, I tested out my husband. I'm like, all right, with this, like, because he's like my best listener and he doesn't do music. So it's like the best because he's just like purely a listener. And it's like, no, I think I'd want to hear this before this. So it's always great because I always tell him the set list or I'm like, this song. He's like, no, I think you should pick this song instead of this one. Because as a listener, uh, he loves lyrics. And so I
Yeah.
know that it's going to be good. And so it helps definitely having him. But um, yeah, I always try to make sure people aren't going to get too sad. And then I'm going to bring them up, and just like, yeah, that's how I think I do it.
Gotcha. Do you ever throw in any that, you mentioned like you took I guess it was called prone to wander off
Yeah.
off Spotify. You said you're in a different place sonically. Do you ever, in that mid set where you're kind of like, hey, like I'm gonna throw some of the slower ones at them. Like, do you ever throw that one in there, or like is that one kind of like, hey, it's not on the Spotify. I'm not, we'll play it
Yeah.
every
I
now and
would
then.
say, yeah, I haven't done that one in a while, mainly because I would say that a lot of people don't know me from that. I think I did that in college, and so a lot of people that I went to college with, and like the very, very beginning of like me just even trying to figure out if I wanted to be an artist. Like I legit, that was a 12-song album. I didn't do any singles. I was like, this is for fun. I'm not gonna actually do music. This is for fun. And then I met my producer Keith, and then which rightfully so has rates, and I was like, this is for fun, and I have to get money, and so it became like the
Yeah,
switch between this is for fun and this is for fun, and it's like a job, and so I don't really play that one a lot, mainly because it's such a new audience that I feel like I have now. That's like, you would be like, wait, you have this song, they'd be like, and then it would be this thing if people did like it, then I would probably have to redo it or something, and then but I haven't actually thought about that before, so that's a good question.
all right, let's go. Well, I'm gonna kick us over Pete Peterson's party pack of questions as
That's
I'm
great.
I'm gonna end on a good question because I
Yeah.
know that the next question will be one that doesn't land. So I'm gonna
Good.
ask you a bunch of random fucking questions. It's Pete Peterson's party pack of questions.
I
So
love that.
Pete Peterson's party pack of questions, basically 20 questions right in a row. They were this or that, mainly food based. So get ready for that.
Oof.
And here we go. Cake or pie?
Hi.
Salad or soup? What are you getting with your sandwich?
Salad.
Are you waiting until the sun sets or are you waking up for the sunrise?
Wait till the sun sets for sure.
Okay. Would you rather hit a home run or score a winning touchdown?
Score winning touchdown.
All right. Night in or night out with your man?
Night in.
Night in. All right. Would you rather do the robot or the worm when your jam comes on at a party? What are
A
you more likely
robot
to do?
would hurt myself significantly.
Gotcha. When you walk in the Mexican spot, guac or queso?
Guac, because unfortunately dairy free.
All right. All right. Waffles or pancakes that you're not putting butter on?
Waffles.
Waffles. All
Waffles.
right. All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Are you more like a ninja or a pirate?
I would say a ninja for sure.
Gatorade or Powerade?
Oof. Oh, Gatorade.
All right. Toast or bagels?
Toast. I get too full with bagels.
I like it. I like it. Chips or pretzels?
Chips.
Okay. Fries or tots?
Tots. Nice crunch.
When you're having your night in, are you guys more likely to watch a TV show or a movie?
Movie.
All right. Are aliens real?
Sure, yeah.
Bigfoot?
Sure, yeah.
Is love at first sight real?
Yes.
Okay. And who are two bands that we might not know that we ought to check out?
Young Ritual. His name's Dylan Grantham. And Mooney, aka Seth, which I wouldn't be shocked if Tim said any of those as well.
I can actually look back and see what Tim said, but I don't think he did say those. So you said Young Ritual,
Young Ritual and Mooney. Moony.
Ritual and Mooney. Awesome. These two local folks from Nashville.
Yep, best buddies.
Keep them in. Keep it in the family. I like it.
Yes.
We've had a handful from Nashville. Travolta, Lowen. You know any of them as far as
I don't
they in
think
the
so,
are they in the
no.
squad?
Which I'm really
Must be
surprised. It's
must
a
be a big
small
town.
town. Yeah. It's a big town, but it's a small town, you know? It's like everyone is super like supportive and kind here. So I'm really grateful.
Gotcha. Well, if I'm coming up there for a weekend, what venue do I need to check out shows at?
I would
Bonus
say
question.
the East Room or the End if you're really into the indie scene. Or the Five Spot. Those three I would say are like just the pinnacle of indie scene in Nashville for sure.
Beautiful. The East Room, the Inn, or the Five Spot.
Yeah.
You guys heard it here first from a queen of Nashville herself.
I wouldn't say that, but
Gabrielle
I would
Grace.
say I'm something in Nashville.
You are in Nashville.
Yeah, I am in Nashville. I may or may
Beautiful.
not be playing an album release show at one of those in June. May.
Ooh.
And may or may not come to Atlanta with a full band with my friend Young Ritual after that.
Where and when, and do you need two hosts?
I mean, I'm in for a host. I always need someone to talk instead of me. So
I'll tell you what, Tash and I know how to do that. That is for sure. But we can take that offline. I'm gonna toss it up to him to tie this thing in a bow.
sick.
TBD.
All right. Well, you got through Pete Peterson's party pack of questions, which is no easy feat. But Gabrielle Grace, thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Sure.
Everyone get out, listen to her on Spotify. New album, Two Sides, will be released June 15th.
Yes. That was
So
good.
get out, listen to that once it gets released. And look out for her playing some shows here this summer. And we'll be sure to post that everywhere once we know what those are. But thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much.